So our new bantamweight champion of the world is Merab Dvalishvili. I have plenty of takes on how I feel about that, but since he is now champion, that means he now has to defend his belt, and there are some tough competition inside the bantamweight division. So in this video today, I'm going to go through 5 guys who have the best chance of beating Merab Dvalishvili. This is all my personal opinion. You can feel free to disagree with me. Leave me a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know your opinion, but let's get right into this. So as you can see to my right, we do again have the bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili. I'm going to unveil each fighter one by one and give you my reasoning and my take as to how they can beat Merab, why they can beat Merab, and even if they can beat Merab. It's a pretty simple concept. If you are interested in these kind of videos, I do have a plethora on my channel, so go to my playlist tab and find the other videos that I've done. I've done videos for almost every champion. I've done videos for Sean O'Malley. I've done plenty of other fighters in the UFC, so if you're interested, go check that out. But let's start off with number 5 here. The number 5 guy who I believe could beat Merab Dvalishvili, and that is good old Chito Vera. Now, this one might seem like a hot take. Chito Vera isn't really that amazing when it comes to the striking, but I do believe that he is better than Merab outright. Now, we did see Chito Vera get out-grappled by Cory Sandhagen for 3 rounds. Yeah, maybe it doesn't look so bright for him when he's fighting Merab. However, I do believe that as the fight goes on, he does improve his takedown defense. Now, I do believe in a 5-rounder, Chito Vera is going to have to finish Merab at some point, but I think when it comes to Chito Vera and it comes to finishing anybody in the UFC, he can do it. We've seen Merab Dvalishvili hurt on several occasions, whether it's a front kick to the body, whether it's a left hook by Henry Cejudo. I think Chito Vera is capable of going out there and landing a shot on Merab that can potentially hurt him, and he can finish people off of that. Now, when it comes to how this fight could possibly play out, I do see Chito Vera getting taken down for at least the first 3 rounds and probably controlled. But again, as the fight goes on, I do believe he will improve his takedown defense. He'll start maybe stuffing some of Merab's takedowns, and maybe there's a possibility that he can go out there and find that good shot or that perfect shot on Merab's chin, on his stomach with a front kick or a front kick to the face. One of those maybe he can possibly find, and we can see him get Merab out of there. Now, would I bet on this? No, not really. I think Chito Vera will lose a comfortable decision. But when I analyze all of bantamweight, I do think that Chito Vera has a pretty solid chance of going out there and finding a way to beat Merab Dvalishvili. So that's my take for Chito Vera. We move on to number 4, and that is good old Sean O'Malley. Now, Sean O'Malley, I understand he just lost, but arguably he won 2 rounds of that fight. And I do think that if O'Malley just put on a little bit more pressure in that 5th round, maybe he could have found a way to finish Merab. He did have him hurt to the body. So I think if O'Malley had a more aggressive style, maybe he could have found a way to beat Merab. That entire fight, it felt like he just wasn't putting enough on the feet or putting enough on Merab on the feet, which is understandable. The takedown threat is there. I understand that. But I think if anybody could come back from a loss to Merab, I do think it could be Sean O'Malley. Only 29 years old, still very young in his career, still in his prime, has a few more years left in his prime. I think if he gets a few more fights and he wins them, maybe he can come back and fight Merab again, and we might see a better version of Sean O'Malley. Obviously, he does have things he needs to work on, like his takedown defense. I think it was a bit too easy for Merab to get him down to the ground and take him down with single legs and stuff like that. So I think O'Malley has a lot to work on, especially getting back to a title shot and improving as he gets back to that title shot. But I don't think it's the end of the world for O'Malley just yet. But even leading up to this fight, I always said that Merab was a nightmare matchup for Sean O'Malley. So he's going to have to find a way to make that nightmare matchup less of a nightmare, more like a sweet dream. Jamal Hill, I don't know why I thought of him just now. But if Sean O'Malley ever does fight Merab again, I do think he does need to make more of the moments that he has on the feet with Merab, and I think he will if they ever do rematch at some point in the future. It might happen, it might not. We'll see how Merab versus Umar goes, who wins that fight. But if Merab wins, I think he'll be champion for quite a little bit of time. And if that's the case, I do see O'Malley working his way back up to getting another title shot. The UFC loves him. He only needs maybe 1 or 2 fights to get another title shot again. But he is hurt, I believe. I think he is getting hip surgery. So it might not be for the next year, 2 years for we see O'Malley ever get back to a title shot. But moving on to number 3 on this list, we do have Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, Deiveson Figueiredo is going to have to do this sometime soon. Getting a little bit up there in age, there's not much time left for Figueiredo to get a title shot and to get the belt at bantamweight, but I do think that when it comes to him versus Merab, that he does have a really good shot at beating him. He has power on the feet, way better striking than Merab in my opinion, and he also can grapple. Now, I definitely do believe that Merab is a better grappler than Figueiredo, but I do think Figueiredo kind of has that flyweight aspect to him to where he's going to be scrambling a lot. He's not going to be content and let Merab hold a body lock for too long. He will be Grammy rolling. He will be scrambling his ass off, trying to find ways to get out of the grappling situation if Merab does try to take him down. It'll kind of be similar to the whole Petr Yan versus Merab fight where Petr Yan was getting back up almost immediately and then Merab's going for more takedowns. I think we're going to see the same approach from Figueiredo in that aspect. I think he will be finding ways to get back up as quick as possible, and maybe he might even go for his own takedowns on Merab. And obviously, when it comes to being on the feet with Merab, I do think Figueiredo does have the advantage. I don't find Merab to be a very good striker. Yes, he can strike, but he is very, very open on the feet. And I think somebody like Figueiredo, who is patient and who will kind of not fear the grappling exchanges from Merab, I do think he could find a way to put one on his chin. Now, would I bet on that? Probably not. I think I would pick Merab to beat Figueiredo, but could Figueiredo go out there and stuff his takedowns or get up quickly and find a way to put Merab out on the chin? For sure, it definitely is a possibility. That's why I have him here at number 3. But I do think as time goes on and as Figueiredo keeps on aging, I do think his chances get lower and lower. So I think Figueiredo is going to have to get a title shot soon if he does want to beat Merab. But that's it for Figueiredo. Moving on to number 2 on this list, which could be a really, really hot take, but I really believe in this sort of matchup, and that is Song Yadong. Now, Song Yadong right now sits at number 8 in the rankings at bantamweight. He's not ranked too highly right now, but I do think when it comes to a pure stylistic matchup between Song Yadong and Merab Dvalishvili, I do think Song Yadong is kind of a almost nightmare matchup for Merab in itself. Song Yadong has good takedown defense. Now, I know he was taken down a couple times by Petr Yan, but Petr Yan's mainly a striker. I don't think Song Yadong was too focused on his grappling defense. Now, if he does fight Merab, I think we'll see a different Song Yadong, and he'll be really keen on stuffing the takedowns. When it comes to Petr Yan, I think focusing on his striking more than his grappling is a way better priority in your game plan for him. So I don't really put too much stock into Song Yadong only getting taken down a couple times, but we've seen in the past, whenever Song Yadong has fought Ricky Simón, he can stuff takedowns with ease. He could go out there and stuff every single one of Merab's takedowns. Now, I do think Merab will get a body lock on him at some point, but I think Song Yadong, if he does get taken down, he will find a way to get back up pretty quickly. I do think Song Yadong has one of the best takedown defense in the entirety of the bantamweight division, and if it's on the feet again, I do think Song Yadong has a lot of power in his hands. I think Merab would be in huge trouble. A guy who can stuff takedowns with great takedown defense, who has a lot of power in their hands, I think is a really bad matchup on the feet for Merab, and I think Song Yadong is that guy. Now, do I really see Song Yadong finding his way to a title shot anytime soon? Not really. It might be a couple years before we see Song Yadong in that title picture because he is only 26, so he is very young. He could obviously work his way up there, but he has lost to Petr Yan. He has lost to Cory Sandhagen. I think he would lose to Sean O'Malley. I think it's really tough for him right now to work his way up the rankings at the bantamweight division, but him being 26 does benefit him as time goes on. As he progresses into his career, he'll be 30 years old, and Merab will be like 36 or something. Like, how old is Merab? He's pretty old, I think. He's like, 33 maybe, but a lot of the other bantamweight top contenders will probably already be retired or at a very, very old age, and Song Yadong will only be 30 years old. So I think just by him just continuing to have a UFC career, he'll eventually find himself in the top 5, or at the very least, at some point in his career, he'll find himself getting a title shot just by, I think, just winning fights naturally. Now, could he lose to some up-and-comer? For sure, but I do think Song Yadong is good enough to stay at the top of bantamweight. And again, if he does end up fighting Merab, I do think that he is a nightmare matchup. Would I bet on Song Yadong? I don't know if I would necessarily bet on Song Yadong, but I do think he has a really, really strong chance of going out there and chinning Merab and stuffing his takedowns. Now, moving on to our final fighter, the fighter I believe has the best chance of beating Merab Dvalishvili, and you know who it is. It's good old Cory Sandhagen. It's Umar Nurmagomedov. I don't know why I thought about Cory Sandhagen in that moment, but Umar obviously has the best chance of beating Merab. Let's be real here. A guy who can go toe-to-toe in the grappling with him, who might even have better grappling than Merab. And on the feet, I do think it is night and day different between Umar and Merab. I do think Umar has way better striking than Merab, and he's kind of powerful. We've seen him put out Howney Barcelos. I think it was a Howney Barcelos. We've seen Umar KO people at bantamweight, which is surprising. And we also saw him fight Cory Sandhagen. Now, that was Sandhagen who was worried about the takedowns, and he was doing a bunch of Grammy rolls and trying to get back up to his feet all of the time. I do think that that was a nerfed version on the feet of a Cory Sandhagen, but we did see Umar have success and be able to land shots on the chin and land good shots on basically on Cory Sandhagen the entire fight. So we do know that Umar's striking is good at the very, very least. Is it elite? Is it great? I don't really know just yet, but I do think his striking is better than Merab's, and that's not a high bar to really surpass. It's kind of a low bar to surpass, but I do think that Umar, when it comes to the striking and on the ground, he could be better than Merab in both of those aspects, and he is probably the next title challenger for Merab. That will probably be his first attempt at a defense, will be against Umar. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, in the Sphere, they were showing Umar in the crowd, calling him the next guy up. Pay-per-view poison. I don't really want it, but it is what it is. But I do think it's pretty obvious that Umar is the next guy up, and he has the best chance of going out there and beating Merab Dvalishvili. So that's it. That was the top 5 guys who I believe have the best chance of beating Merab Dvalishvili for that Bantamweight Championship. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like, subscribe, bell icon for notifications. But I'm out of here, guys. Peace.